So, good afternoon. Second day Bcom Computer Applications, Semester 4 Web Technologies. Unit 1 is almost completed. So, today we discuss about what we covered in Unit 1. సో యూనిట్ 1లో మనకు ఏమేమి కవర్ అయ్యాయి అన్నది ఒక్కసారి మనం చూద్దాము. సో యూనిట్ 1 we covered in unit 1 like introduction to web technologies, HTML, types of HTML tags, basic structure of HTML, web designing principles, HTML attributes, styles, hypertext, formatting text, forms, and formulating instructions and formulation elements, commenting code, background images, hyperlinks, lists, tables, frames. ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనం ఫస్ట్ యూనిట్లో కంప్లీట్ చేసేసామండి. చాలా పీపీటీలు కూడా మనం యూస్ చేసాము. సో ఇందులో మనకు ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏమొస్తాయంటే, ఇందులో మనకి ఫార్మాటింగ్ ట్యాగ్స్, వాట్ ఆర్ ఫార్మాటింగ్ ట్యాగ్స్ అనేది కంపల్సరీ ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్. HTML ఫార్మాటింగ్ ట్యాగ్స్, వాట్ ఆర్ HTML ఫార్మాటింగ్ ట్యాగ్స్ అనేది కంపల్సరీ ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్. అలాగే స్ట్రక్చర్ ఆఫ్ HTML అది రాకపోవచ్చు కానీ వెబ్ డిజైనింగ్ ప్రిన్సిపల్స్ అనేది ఎస్ఏ టైప్ క్వశ్చన్. అలాగే forms and form tags, forms and form controls. So what are forms and explain about form controls, or what are forms and explain what are form controls అనేది set up question. అలాగే what are explain about tables in HTML అనేది set up question. Similarly explain about lists, different types of lists, explain about lists or different types of lists అనేది కూడా మనకి సెట్ అప్ క్వశ్చన్. అలాగే explain about frames, what are explain about frames అనేది కూడా సెట్ అప్ క్వశ్చన్, కంపల్సరీ సెట్ అప్ క్వశ్చన్ మనకి. సో ఇవన్నీ కూడా మనకి ఫస్ట్ యూనిట్ నుంచి వచ్చే సెట్ అప్ క్వశ్చన్స్. మనం టుడే we start with second unit of our syllabus. So second unit contains an overview of dynamic web pages and dynamic web page. So an overview of dynamic web pages and dynamic web pages means DHTML. So an overview of dynamic web pages or DHTML, technologies used in DHTML, introduction to dynamic HTML programming, cascading style sheet, CSS or style sheets. So DHTML, what is DHTML or dynamic HTML pages? What are their features, applications of DHTML? Similarly, what are the different components or parts of DHTML? So మనకి DHTML లో మనకి different components ఉంటాయి. First one is style sheets or cascading style sheets or cascading style sheets. Next, types and advantages of CSS. So what are the different types of style sheets? What are the different types of style sheets or cascading style sheets or style sheets? And the types and advantages of CSS basic syntax and structure, and changing text and attributes, and dynamically changing styles, and text graphics and placements, and creating multimedia effects with filters and transactions. This is second unit syllabus. So today we discuss about what is DHTML, what are the features and applications of DHTML programming, అనేది మనం ఒకసారి ఇవాళ చెప్పుకున్నాము. సో వి స్టార్ట్ అవర్ పీపీటీ నౌ. So this is our first PPT. It explains about DHTML basic concepts. So what is DHTML? What are the different types of HTML? So what is DHTML? Dynamic. What are static HTML pages, and what is dynamic HTML pages? So how to create DHTML pages, and so what is static HTML pages, and what are dynamic HTML pages? What are the differences between static and dynamic pages? So static pages or static HTML pages means there is no change, or there are no changes in the current page while running the page in ordinary HTML programs or in ordinary static pages. Whereas in dynamic HTML pages, we can change the contents, various contents, or we can modify various contents, or we can program various parts of the HTML page by using programming. So by using DHTML, we may control the overall page, total page of a web page, or similarly we can control entire different parts or components of HTML pages, HTML parts like animations, images, and everything. And dynamic pages are generally not a standard, unlike HTML or Java. So dynamic pages are differ with ordinary HTML pages or static HTML pages. It is a term applied by both Netscape and Microsoft to a collection of technologies that they are developing for making HTML document more dynamic and interactive. So by using dynamic HTML, we are able to create more dynamic and interactive pages, more user attractive pages, and you can control each and every part of the HTML page or component of the HTML page, like animations and fonts, animations, pictures, graphics, like that. Similarly, dynamic pages or DHTML pages or programs are very faster in execution and compared with ordinary static pages. And another feature of DHTML is we can program them. We can control with program by using some programming with them, while in static pages it is not possible. Whereas in dynamic pages only we can program them by according to the user requirements and write according various applications and programs. So what are the different components of DHTML? Generally DHTML means it contains three important features or components. First one is style sheets. So what are the different parts or components of this DHTML? First one is style sheets or CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets. So first part is called as, or first component is called as style sheets or CSS or style sheet or CSS or cascading style sheets. Second one is content positioning. Means positioning of the images or positioning of the graphics or pictures, positioning of the graphics and pictures of graphics and pictures of the HTML page. Third one is DOM, document object model. Third one is called component is called as DOM, document object models. So these are the three different components. First one is style sheets. They are called as, it is called as style sheets or CSS or cascading style sheets. Second one is content positioning, means placing various pictures and graphics at appropriate places. Third one is called as DOM, document object model. So, and event, another feature is event programming or events. It is also one of the feature of the HTML that also we may discuss one by one here. So, style sheets. What are the style sheets? It is also called as so Ii-Dhtml. What are the Ii-Dhtml features? Ii-Dhtml contains mainly four or five components. First one is style sheets. Ii-Dhtml contains 5 features or components. First one is CSS or cascading style sheets, or simply called as style sheets. Second one is content positioning, means positioning of or changing of graphics or images, multimedia effects, and transmission of text or graphics, like that. Third one is DOM, document object model. Third one is called as DOM, document object model. Fourth one is JavaScript. And fifth one is events and event handling. So Ii-Dhtml, what are the important features of Ii-Dhtml? Ii-Dhtml contains 5 important components. First one is called as CSS or style sheets, or simply called as cascading style sheets. Second one is positioning, content positioning. Third one is DOM, document object model. Fourth one is JavaScript. Fifth one is events and event handling. So we may discuss one by one about all these things. So style sheets. What are style sheets? They are also called as style sheets or cascading style sheets or CSS. So a web page has 2 components. First one is a content and presentation. So generally every web page or any web page contains 2 parts. First one is called as content. Content means some information about the page, means like some text, graphics, some tables, images, pictures, animations, like that, audio, video files, like that. Second one is presentation means various effects and like fonts, background, foreground and background colors, like that. Style sheets are used to specify the presentation part of the page. Generally style sheets are mainly used for presentation of a web page. Means if you see or if you open any web page or a website, the entire website or web page, all the pages in the website looks like in the same manner, means in the same pattern or in the same font size or in the same background and foreground images, same font sizes and colors, using same colors and using same themes or using same pictures, background images, logos, like that type of settings are called as style sheets. The type of presentation of web page is called as style sheets or CSS or cascading style sheets. Second one is there are a collection of style information that are applied to plain text. Style information includes specific effects, bold, italic, general color and alignment. So style sheets means also contains, style sheets are mainly used to CSS or style sheets are mainly used to set various settings of a web page, like text settings for bold font styles, foreground and background settings, and italic formatting of the text or formatting of the text or fonts like bold, italics, underline, colors, setting colors, foreground and background alignments, means left, right, top, bottom alignments, page settings, and everything like that. So all this comes under style sheets or CSS or cascading. So what are the main advantages of using style sheets or CSS or cascading style sheets? So standardizing the styles for all pages by making a common file that will store all the style information. Generally, while using CSS or style sheets, or in CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets, all the settings are generally stored in a single file. All the settings are generally stored in a single file. So what are these settings? Means setting font size, setting foreground and background colors, setting text color, setting some alignments, left, right, top, bottom alignments, setting some logos, themes, like that. Content can be written without worrying much about the rendering. So generally, once this setting file or CSS file is ready, the content can be, we may easily manage the content of the web page by applying all these settings easily. Next, some tags like em is rendered. So these are the main advantages of CSS or style sheets. Generally, CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets are three types. First one is embedded style, second one is inline style, third one is linked styles. So there are three types of CSS styles or cascading style sheets are used. The first one is called as embedded styles. First one is called as the embedded styles. Second one is called as inline style. Third one is called as linked style. So this is the simple example of using a CSS style. So body colon within brackets, font some 12 pt, Arial, color navy, margin left, like that. So this is the simple example of using some settings, applying some settings to body, all the contents of from in the body. Similarly, h1. So these are the another settings. These are the another set of settings applied, which are used to h1 header 1 settings. So for header 1 of HTML page, font is equals to 18 Arial and color is red. So what are all these things, and what are the syntax of how to write CSS commands? All these things we may discuss one by one later. So first type of CSS or style sheets are called as embedded styles by using style tag. So first type of style sheets are called as embedded styles by using style tag. Second type of style sheets are called as inline style. Second type of style sheets are called as inline style. So second type of style sheets are called as inline style. So inline style sheets are generally applied directly applied in the HTML code or HTML program itself only. But also we will discuss all these things in detail in the later. Third one is linked style, linking to a style information in a separate file. So that also we will explain in another PPT. So we start another PPT. So again we start with some another PPT studying the basics of DHTML. So DHTML, as we know that it acronyms for dynamic or hypertext markup language, a term describing a series of technologies, not a stand-alone technology such as Java, HTML. Browser pages react without server assistance. So generally DHTML contains many. In DHTML we may use many types of technologies, not a single technology, or not depends on a single technology. Generally DHTML contains many other technologies, like as we already know that DHTML is a combination of 5 technologies. First one is called as some style sheets or CSS. Second one is content positioning. Third one is JavaScript. Fourth one is DOM, document object model. Fifth one is events and event handling. So what are the different technologies? What are the different technologies used in CSS? So first one is style sheets. Style sheets or CSS or cascading style sheets. Second one is positioning of the text and graphics or content. Third one is called as some JavaScript. Fourth one is called as some events and event handling. Fifth one is called as DOM, document object model. So we will explain all these things one by one. So server side scripting. What is server side scripting? CGI program is executed on the server and the results written in a web page. Client side. So basically there are two types of scripting languages are used: client side scripting and server side scripting. Generally client side means the devices and end users, means we are generally called as client side devices or client side machines or client side users. Generally the programs are executed in the computer of the web page visitor. The server is not accessed. Server side scripting means the programs which are purely executed on server machines only. Generally in client side scripting we may use JavaScript technologies generally. So generally for client side scripting we may use JavaScript as a scripting language, whereas for server side scripting we may use generally DHTML and VBScript only. So browser specific technologies. So browser specific technologies means generally these are not DHTML is not browser independent. Independent means, well, like in HTML is a browser independent language. Scripting language means all the browser dependent, all the browsers, all the HTML programs can run in all the browsers and operating systems and machines, whereas DHTML is a browser specific technologies. Means browser specific means it purely depends on the browsers used. There are, as we know that there are many types of operating systems and many types of browsers are also available. And cross browser technologies means CSS. So cross browser technologies, what are cross browser technologies? Means CSS or cascading style sheets, JavaScript, DOM are called as cross browser technologies. So what are the main advantages? What are the main advantages and disadvantages of using DHTML? So what are the main advantages and disadvantages of using DHTML? So what are the advantages? Supported by most browsers. So generally DHTML technologies, DHTML, as we know that there are many, DHTML is not a single technology. There are many other technologies or many combination of technologies are used with the DHTML. As we know that there are 5 technologies are used in DHTML. First one is style sheets or cascading style sheets or CSS. Second one is content positioning. Third one is DOM. Fourth one is JavaScript, and fifth one is events and event handling. So these 5 combination of these 5 are called as DHTML technologies. And so what are the first advantages? Supported by most browsers. So DHTML technologies are supported by any type of browsers, either Microsoft browsers or internet browsers or Mozilla Firefox browsers, like that. And small file sizes. Generally DHTML files are very small in size, and no plugins required, and easy to learn. Means easy to learn JavaScript, HTML and JavaScript. Means, as we know that HTML also contains HTML as well as JavaScript code. So fast development. So another advantage of DHTML is, by using DHTML technologies, we can develop any type of application in a fast manner, like by using HTML and JavaScript, and faster web experience. Similarly, the running of so fast development. Another feature and application of DHTML is fast development and fast web experience. Means manipulate browser objects on the client side, and Java not required. So these are the main advantages of using DHTML. So what are the disadvantages? Of using DHTML? Means browser and OS compatibilities, variations in browser vendors, variations in browser versions, so variations of OS and variations of OS versions. So there are slight variations of browser vendors and browser companies, and browser versions, and OS versions also. And syntax. So syntax, CSS and JavaScript are sensitive. So generally CSS means style sheets and cascading style sheets, and JavaScript are both case sensitive. Case sensitive means they can be allowed, or the commands or instructions can be written in only lowercase letters only, not in uppercase. And browser issues means some browser bugs or issues are also there. Next, Flash. Document object model. So DOM, it is also called as DOM. So we will discuss all these things in detail in the next classes. What is DOM? Another feature of DHTML is DOM, document object model. So connects an object element defined with an ID or name attribute to a JavaScript function, allows any property to be changed, connects the objects with a JavaScript function, identifying and object. So what is DOM? Document object model means, generally in DOM, all the objects of a page or web page are accessible. Individual objects means what I mean. Another important feature of DHTML is you can easily access each and every component or each and every so another important feature of DHTML is, by using DHTML we can easily access each component or each part of the web page. Means we can control and program each and every part of the web page by simply accessing its properties, and simply program it by using some JavaScript language. Another important feature of DHTML is events. What is events and event handling? So generally events occur when something happens in the browser window. So what is event? Another important feature. So there are 5 to 6 features are there. 5 to 6 features of DHTML are there. Another most important feature is events and event handling. Event handling and event handlers. So what is an event? Event means generally events occurs when something happening in the browser window. So for example, action samples are loading of new document, leaving a web page, or mouse movement, key is pressed, or browser window is moved. All these are events. So event handlers, another term we used is, there are two terms we used in event handling. First one is events. Events means some actions. Events are generally called as some actions occurred on the browser window. Examples are loading a document, leaving a page, moving of cursor, or pressing a key and releasing a key, and closing a window, like that. Event handlers, what are event handlers? Generally programs built into the browser are called as event handlers. So there are many event handlers are there. There are many event handlers are there. Event handlers generally handles all the events occur in the application or in the program. An internal program in the browser event handler is activated upon a occurrence of an event. Specific program agents handles specific events. So we discuss all these things in the we can discuss all these things elaborately in the next classes, and we start with another PPT also. So we start with another PPT also. So DHTML is a combination of technologies. So what is the exact meaning of DHTML? DHTML is a combination of technologies generally used to create dynamic and interactive websites and web pages. So DHTML is not a single technology. It is a combination of 5 technologies. As we know that HTML contains DOM, document object model, JavaScript, and positioning of characters and images, and JavaScript and others, events and event handling, like the CSS, style sheets, like that. So HTML is a combination of technologies used to create dynamic and interactive websites. And for example, in HTML, for creating text and image links and other page elements. So CSS means style sheets for further formatting of text and HTML, plus other added features such as positioning and layering content. And JavaScript means the programming language that allows you to access and dynamically control the individual properties of both HTML and style sheets. So these are the 3 important components, 3 important areas where DHTML is used. First one is HTML. So generally DHTML generally contains HTML programming, and CSS or cascading style sheets are simply called as style sheets. And the third one is JavaScript programming. So combination of JavaScript programming is also one of the part or component of HTML. CSS or style sheets is one of the part or component of programming, and HTML is one of the parts. HTML is also one of the part or component of the DHTML. So why we require DHTML? So why we require DHTML? Why we require DHTML, or what are the features? What are the features and applications of DHTML programming or DHTML technologies? So with DHTML you can create animations. Means by using DHTML we may easily create animations and transitions, filters, like that. and second one is pop-up menus. We also easily create pop-up menus. The third one is inclusion of web page content from external data sources and elements that can be dragged and dropped with the web page. So here in this slide we start with one of the component, the first component of Ii-Dhtml, that is CSS. Here we start with, there are 5 components or 5 technologies are mainly used in Ii-Dhtml. The first one is called as CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets. Second one is JavaScript. Third one is DOM or document object model. Fourth one is events and event handling. Fifth one is placing text and graphics and animations, like that. So CSS stands for cascading style sheets. Styles define how to display HTML elements. Styles are normally stored in style sheets. So why we require a style sheet or a CSS files means, generally we may program or we may design or we may apply various design or we may apply various settings to the various HTML elements. There are various HTML elements like fonts, font sizes, colors, foreground color, background color. So we can change or set all these settings in a single file, and we simply apply all these settings to entire pages or all the pages. So CSS stands for cascading style sheets, and styles define how to display HTML elements. Styles define how to display HTML elements, and styles are normally stored in style sheets. So external style sheets can save you a lot of work. External style sheets are stored in CSS files. Multiple style definitions will cascade into one. So as we already know that there are 3 types of style sheets. There are 3 types of style sheets are used. First one is internal style sheets. Second one is external style sheets. Third one is inline style sheets. So internal style sheets means that these things we may discuss elaborately in the next classes. So what are the different types of style sheets? There are 3 types of style sheets are used. First one is internal style sheets. Second one is external style sheets, and third one is inline style sheets. Internal style sheets means the CSS commands or CSS programs can be applied within a HTML program, and external style sheet means we can simply store the CSS commands and programs into some CSS codes, and these codes or these programs are called from our HTML programs, and they can be easily embedded, they can be easily run and executed from the from external files. That type of files are called as external. Third one is called as inline style sheets. So basically there are 3 types of style sheets. One is called as internal style sheets. Second one is called as external style sheets. Third one is called as inline style sheets. So syntax, what is the syntax and how to use CSS or how to use some style sheets. So generally the syntax comes with 3 parts. Selector, first one is called as selector. Selector means an element, and there are different parts or components of style sheets. First one is called as selector. Second one is called as element, and property and value. So there are 4 types of 3 different components of CSS command syntax. First one is called as selector or element, HTML element. Second one is called as property. Third one is called as value. So the selector is normally the HTML element or tag. So the first selector is called as, so how to use a CSS command, how to write a CSS command. Selector selector or HTML element or HTML tag, bracket open, property, colon, space, some value, semicolon, and bracket close. If more than one value or one element or one properties are used, we may use semicolon at the end. So here the selector is also called as HTML element or tags. We may use any type of HTML element or HTML tag, like HTML h1 headers, like s1, s2, s3, s4, s5, s6, body tag. We may use body tag, and we may use some font tag and everything, whatever it may be, we use. And property means the characteristics. Property means the characteristics of the style sheet or style sheet element, HTML element. The property means the characteristics of the style sheet or HTML element, and value means some initial value to be used. Generally, the selector is normally a HTML element or tag. A property is the attribute you wish to change. Each property can take a value. So three method to specify. So second one is so again we start with the basic concepts of CSS or style sheets or cascading style sheets. So what is a CSS or style sheet? A style sheet is nothing but it is a set of rules and regulations, or which is a set of rules, or which is a set of some commands which are generally applied to the entire website, entire contents of the web page. Entire contents of a web page means the entire changes of the web page can be simply used with the CSS files or CSS commands. So generally CSS means cascading style sheet or style sheet or CSS files, and here we may use some CSS syntax, command syntax also. Basically style sheets define how to display HTML elements. So generally mainly CSS or style sheets are mainly used to display how to display HTML elements. Means HTML elements means there are many HTML elements are there, like for HTML what are the different properties or characteristics of HTML pages, like fonts, font sizes, foreground colors, background colors, text. So similarly underline, bold, italic, body tag, or each and every part of a HTML page is an HTML element. So generally CSS elements or CSS style sheets or styles define how to display HTML elements. Means we can change the properties. Generally we may change the properties of these HTML elements. So generally styles are normally stored in style sheets. So how to use CSS means there are three, as we already know that there are three types of style sheets or CSS files or style sheets or cascading style sheets. First one is internal style sheet, and second one is external style sheets, and third one is inline style sheets. So generally CSS styles are normally stored in style sheets. So all the settings of the HTML page or all the settings of the HTML elements are generally stored in style sheets. So this is, as we already discussed with this is the property, this is the syntax of the CSS file. This is the basic syntax of the CSS file. So how to use and how to create CSS syntax. So syntax is simple: selector or HTML element or selector, space, bracket open, property, colon, value. So here the selector is either HTML element or HTML tag, space, bracket open, property means some property, any property, like its foreground color, font color, background color, whatever it may be, colon, space, some value, its value. So this is the syntax of the basic syntax of the CSS or style sheets. So we may discuss the remaining things in the next class. Presently we are in second unit.